Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to discuss and learn about the functions in Kotlin, and we will see that functions are very much powerful things in the Kotlin. Kotlin takes the function to its next level and makes it very powerful compared to how though the functions are in other programming languages. So till now we were using the function given by the Kotlin itself, that is a main function, because it is important to write a main function if you want to execute any Kotlin code. But now we will write our own functions, and in functions we can write a logic and we can reuse that logic again and again by calling the function. So let's start to write our own function. So first function will be very much simple. So the syntax is very simple, as you have known. fun, and then say hello, and then simply we will print hello Kotlin. And here we will be calling say hello, and we will execute the code, and simply it will come hello Kotlin. But here there are a lot of things to see. We put this brackets around the name of the function, right? So here, if this bracket, inside the bracket, if nothing is written, it means that our function takes nothing. Okay, but does this function gives anything? So the thing is, here as we can see, we have not written any we are not using anything like return something, right? But in Kotlin, everything, as I told you earlier videos also, everything is an expression. Means everything in Kotlin returns something. There is nothing in Kotlin which don't return anything. So what does this return? So this returns a unit. Now unit is a special type of class which is known as object. We will discuss more about this syntax and all, that what exactly it is. But as it is said, the type with only one value, the unit object. This type corresponds to the void type in Java. So basically in C, C++, Java, when a function don't returns anything, we write the keyword void. So it actually don't returns anything. That means that. But here it returns something. But we don't mention it explicitly, because implicitly it is a returning unit as always. Okay. Even this main function returns the unit, as you can see from here, right? So this is the first thing. Second thing is, we can pass a parameter to the function. A function can take something. So we can say hello, and we can write something like message, or we can say name, and name will be of type string, and we will say print hello. And there is something known as string interpolation. So inside the string we can write $, and then we can write the name of the variable. Okay, we don't need to concatenate the string and variable to join together. So this is another way of writing doing things, right? Now here you can see that we have mentioned something inside the brackets around the function name, right? So it says a name of type string. So we have to pass a name which is of type string. So we will say hello, and then here we will pass something like, suppose I pass Kotlin again here, but I will say in uppercase, okay, and I will print it. So if we execute it, we are getting the result. One more concept that we are able to see here is, these two functions have the same name, but they have different signature. The different signature means that they have different parameters. In terms of parameters, both are different. One does not take a parameter, and one does take a parameter of type string. We can write another function, say hello, and if we just write this, so it is not allowed. But if we change it to something like a of type int, it is perfectly allowed, right? So this is how this concept is known as function overloading, where we are overloading the same function with the same name but with the different parameters. Return type don't matter. Okay, if you mention here a string and if you put here int, it still will give you error, because here the function is returning unit and here it is returning integer. So return type is different, but still it is not considered in the function's signature. Okay, So the thing is, functions parameter, functions name, and functions what parameter it is taking and what type of parameter it is taking, that matters. So let's remove this. Let's construct some more functions. We will take simple functions, but those simple functions will have so much value for us to give. Okay, so we will see. So let's take an add function which adds two numbers and returns something. So we can say a of type integer, b of type integer, and it returns an integer. Okay, so we can do something like val sum equal to a plus b, and then we can say return sum. So return keyword is used to return something, right? So now let's call this function, right? So we will say add, and let's say 2 comma 3. Now this function returns something. Okay, so if it returns something, then we need to take it. Now taking it means we have to store it somewhere. So we'll create a variable known as sum, and we are putting that in sum, and if we just print sum and execute the code, then we get 5, which is perfectly fine. So this is another way of a function taking multiple parameters and returning something. But this code can be simplified further. How can we simplify this? Let's understand. Kotlin says, why you just have to add these two numbers, right? Why you are even taking this sum? Just put these two things from here to here, and that's done. And if you run the code, it still compiles and it still executes. Now this much work we can do in any other programming languages. You can do in Java, you can do in C++, you can do in many other also. But Kotlin goes further than this and says, why to even write a one single statement? What it means that if you have a function, okay, understand very clearly. If you have a function, and inside that function body, if there is only one statement which is a return statement, then you don't even need to write this anything inside this itself. You can directly return the value. How you can return? Just write equal to and say a plus b. That's it. And this is equal, and this whole thing is equal to the one we have already saw, right? So if we execute this again, the result is same. So we can write simple functions like this also. There is another way of doing this thing. Suppose I can, rather than passing this function here, what I can do is I can take a reference of a function also. So what I mean by that is, I can say val x equal to, I can write fun, I can say int b int, it returns int, and a into b, and this is also valid. So here we have not defined the name of the function, but we have stored the reference of the function inside the variable x. So the reference of the function simply means that you are referring to a function, okay? And referring to a function and calling a function is different, okay? Here we are just storing the reference of a function, that okay, when we say x, it means that we are referring to the function with this which takes two parameters and it returns an integer value, and it does this calculation, okay? But to call such function, what we have to do is we use something like this simply, and we pass the function name. So we say 4 and 5, and we have to store it. Let's put it directly inside the print, and if we do it, we get 20. So this is another way. The benefit of this, you may ask that what is the benefit of this? So the benefit of this is you can write this code directly inside the main method also, and you can simply call again 4 comma 5. So that's perfectly fine. Suppose you want to write a quick code while you are doing something, so you can do something like this, okay? That would be also a syntax to do. It is a personal preference how you want to write things and where you want to use these things, but you should know these are the powerful means And if you see, if you will be working in a code base which involves where Kotlin code is written, whether you are working on an open source project or you are working in a corporate setup, these code you will find it very common. It is not that it's highly uncommon thing. Okay, so that's the reason you should know that okay, such code also exists and such is a way to write the function and call a function. Okay, we will see more better ways also and more powerful ways also, but yeah, this is the one way which is common. So this is how we write the function. Another thing that I want to discuss is, suppose I have a function and I want to pass few things. Not pass, I want to take a string and I want to return few things actually. So I want to take a length of the string, s dot length, okay, and I want to take the first character of a string, so s and 0. We have not discussed about strings in detail, but a bit of idea you may be getting here. So this is a property we are using to get the length of a string, and this is how we get the first character in a string. Okay, now I want to pass length and first character of a string. I want to return it from the function. How can we do it? In Kotlin, there is a special class for it known as pair. So this pair, we have to pass two things inside this diamond bracket. These brackets are known as diamond brackets. Okay, so inside these diamond brackets we have to pass two things. Actually, the two data types we have to pass. Pair means two values. Okay, two value forms a pair. So what two values you will be passing? So length is of type integer and character is of type char. Now I can return a pair and I can say length and character of first character, right? So this pair is a special class. Once we will discuss about classes and objects in Kotlin, we will look at it, what it is all about. Now let's call this function. So string props, and we are passing a string. So let's take Kotlin as a string and let's pass inside result. Now result is of type pair and we want to extract these two things, length and ch, from result. How can we do it? So there are properties through which you can do it. So you can write res. If you just write res, then it will give assert in a combined way, okay, like this. But if you want to extract individually, then there is something known as, let's write inside string, and we will give her this res dot first and res dot second. So first and second are the properties of the class, of this pair class. So we can use this to extract what is present inside it, and if we print now, we can see we have got individual extraction. But first we extract into a variable and then we extract individually. This seems to be still a more verbose syntax. So there is more better syntax. We can do it. We can simply destructure the things. So we can say I want a length and ch. Here I have wrote len and ch the same as this, just for means it should be crystal clear. But you can take any variable x, y, a, b, or whatever. Ideally, you should be taking the variables which clearly defines what you are going to store in that. Okay, so we will say str and then I will pass this, or let's pass something else. Let's pass spring. Okay, and in print I'll say lem and ch. Now that's look more better and interesting, right? So this is a way we can destructure anything which has multiple values. We can destructure a array, list, or anything, a class, anything we can destructure in Kotlin to get the individual properties. Okay, so this is the benefit of it. There is another special class known as triple. So in that, if you want to send 3 values, you can use triple. If you want more than 3 values, then suppose I say some fun, I take a integer and my goal is that I want to return 4 to 5 values, suppose. How do I do that? Because there is no special class as such. So we can use something in Kotlin known as array, and we have to pass the which type of values we want to pass. The only restriction in using array as a return type is you can only put those values in the array whose data type you have already defined here. Okay, so now I can return. Now I will be using simpler syntax. So I can say array of a plus 1, a plus 2, or a plus 3, something like this, and it's super simple. And we can extract it using a b c d for some fun. Let pass 2, and inside print let's interpolate all these. And if you execute the code, we get 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the ways how we can do the things. You can simplify this also into something like this. I made it to make you understand. Now there is something known as default and named parameters in Kotlin. So let's understand those. So if you have a function known as message, now let's say message has two things. One is subject of type string, and one is body of type string. And I just want to simply print the body and subject. Now simply we can call this message as you have seen. So I can call this message like in subject I can say this is subject, and I can say this is body. So if I print this, then it comes as simple as that. Another way of doing it is you can use named parameters, and the benefit of named parameter is that you can pass the values in any order. So I want to pass the value of body first and subject later. Function is taking the subject first and body second, but I want to pass the body first and subject next, and function should understand that this is a body and this is a subject, so it should put in right variables. Okay, so for that to happen, you have to mention the name of the parameters and just say this is message body and then subject. So this is how we can pass the body and subject in any order. Okay, and if you print it, Kotlin understands that and it puts the value in the correct variables. Okay, now suppose you want to pass here you want to give a default value to a subject, so you can also do that. So you can say default subject value. Okay, something like this. Now what is the benefit of it is that in message, if you say body equal to message body, you don't need to pass the subject. Okay, so if you don't pass the value of the subject, this default value will be taken as its value. Okay, so in this case, if you run the program, you will get default subject value and message body. Now the best practice in Kotlin is that there can be multiple variables which can have default values. That's perfectly fine, but all the variables which have the default values should be declared after the variables which do not have default values. Okay, so this body don't have default value, so first this body should be declared. So this body should be declared here, and then default values should be declared. So the benefit of it is we don't have to explicitly write this body as a named parameter. We can remove it. So what can happen is till the variables don't have a default value, we can pass the values means in an order to all the variables, and whatever will be remaining, whatever variables will be remaining, the default which already have a default values, it will be taken as it is. Okay, so that is actually kind of less verbose code. This also works perfectly if you see here. So this is the best practice to follow. Make sure to follow these small best practices. This makes your code more readable, more concise, and the code don't get rejected in code reviews, because in bigger organizations these small things are also taken care in code reviews. So these are the best practices you should follow. So we have talked about the functions till now, and you may have been very much got a good idea about the functions in Kotlin, but functions are very powerful more than this. That power, okay, we will discuss in next video, because in next video we will go further and we will see how these functions can be super powerful and used in a very elegantly and intuitively. Okay, so we will see that in next video. I hope you have liked this video. Please subscribe to the channel and press the like button and put your comments on your opinions on what you find interesting in this video. Okay, so thank you everyone. Bye bye.